Hey, hey, it's been a hot minute. Let me move this down so I can sit back and eat. Well, Mama Kitty. Hi. Hi, Mama. She's using my laptop to scratch her face. Thank you, Mama Kitty. Come here. Get over here. So, I know I haven't streamed in a hot minute. I did not expect to do this all the time anyway. So, it hasn't been that much of a issue for me personally. I don't necessarily have a bunch of followers who are trying to follow me. There's not really any expectations involved. So it's been kind of nice. It was super, super useful for that body doubling and to help me kind of get some of my routines back on track. But now there's going to be some changes again. So I might be on here a little bit more. So to start off, went to the Earth Skills Gathering, and it was amazing. I just about cried when I was leaving. So, yeah, kind of came out of that with a realization. And then things at my job haven't been going great. And it has been kind of time for me to move on for a little bit. So first I'll talk about the Earth Skills Gathering, and then I'll bring it back together and talk about what my next plans are. Plans. Oh my gosh. Luckily I have people who are super cheering me on because it's going to be so weird to say it out loud to like the internet where there's a ton of judgment and such. And anyway, luckily I don't have many followers and no one who really watches these. So Earth Skills Gathering, amazing. Holy cow. Let's go with, I'll start from the beginning. Okay, so I was supposed to go with some folks, but then a bunch of plans changed and people weren't showing up till later in the week. And I had to leave Friday. Most of my friends were getting there Friday. So we were just going to kind of host by one another, unfortunately. So then I kind of had to pivot because my expectation at first was that I would be like camping with people, experiencing this with some friends. And now I'm going to do it alone, which I don't mind doing a lot of stuff alone. I live alone. I work from home. I do like my peace and solitude, but I also like being around people. Like, I like community. I don't feel it's too inconvenient to help folks out. Especially when it's an actual community and you're getting helped back and it's all this reciprocity involved. So anyway, had to pivot, go back to that, okay, I'm in a meeting people phase. And I had signed up for this not really knowing what to expect. I had no clue what was going to go on. I was a little tentative. But anyway, it was amazing. That first day, I didn't really get to meet anyone because everyone was just kind of arriving. There weren't activities really planned except for the lighting of a fire. And that had happened before I got there. So I wasn't even there for like the first day's activities. People who are arriving already kind of had their groups that they meet with and they enjoy being with. So I always feel like I'm just going to intrude if I'm not invited in. And I've been trying to be a bit more bold. Like there are certain environments and times where I don't mind just walking up and meeting someone. If I'm like in a bar, a club, something like that, that's super social, absolutely. I'll just walk up to a random person, usually compliment them because the reason I'm usually walking up to them is because their outfit's amazing and I want to make sure they know that. So those environments, networking environments where it's expected for you to show up and like talk to people. When I'm in like friend groups and they're like throwing a party and I don't know people there, that's an area where I'll introduce myself because we all have mutual acquaintances here. So there are times, and it really depends on the situation, that I do tend to like just go up to people. in this case, I didn't know what to expect. And since it seemed like everyone was meeting in their own little groups, it just isn't quite me to be like, hey guys, I don't know any of you. Can I come join your group? And while yes, I think a lot of people at the gathering would have been absolutely fine with that, it's just not something I'm quite comfortable with yet. And something that once you hear my plans, you'll know that I'll have to kind of break through that. So anyway, first day, I felt a little lonely, I could say. I was excited for the gathering. Oh my gosh, it was gorgeous out there. I was excited for the classes. But I set up my tent. I walked around a little bit. I sat by the fire for a little while and got to listen to some elders speak. And then I went to bed. So, yeah, first day, a little bit lonely. And that's okay. Now, second day. It's all the way in my bathroom. But, here we go. Second day, I did my cordage class, which is the one I was so excited for. And Mama's trying to get attention. She's been trying to get attention since I started this. And now she's doing that thing where she rolls over all cute. Yeah, you're such a cutie. Finally did my cordage class. It was excellent. It was everything I wanted. And yeah, I'm just rolling rope out of plants. But it was so cool. And something like just had clicked so immediately. It was so much fun. But I don't have my rope I made with me. I am currently processing a bunch of coconut. Now, I've got through a lot. I am so proud of myself. This is the one I still need to strip down into individual threads. These are individual threads I need to either let ret, or what I've been doing is I'm not patient enough, and it's actually really meditative to pull the stuff off, which I'll show you how I do it in a moment. But I have filled almost this whole container. And this, from there, I can process into a couple different things. This could go for like compost and go into like a compost bin, which I actually need to set this outside. Still smells like dirt, but it can start to mold if I'm not careful. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff I can make out of that. One of the things I was going to experiment with is getting some pine sap and mixing it together to create like a little fire starting brick. I don't know, with the pine sap and the coconut core. Maybe it works. Maybe it's an awful idea. I don't know until I try. Anyway, from there, I am stripping it all down into these little fibers, and you can see how many I've done. That's so exciting. All of these, one by one. So let me show you quickly kind of the process here of stripping these and processing the coconut fibers. Also, I had actual emotional distress over these coconuts, which I'll also talk about here in a moment. But let me pull out a fiber. Got one little fiber, itty bitty. And then I'm just taking my nails, which I've pulled off most of my nails processing this. So I'm down to just on this hand, since I'm a righty, you can see my nails are a little bit longer. I don't like to keep them super long because I don't like when I hit them on stuff and break them. But on this hand, since I am a righty, my nails are pretty much gone. Anyway, I just sit here and I do this, and it pulls off the extra outside stuff. But boop. And then move on to the next one. And I'll sit here and just kind of watch TV and do this, like someone might sit and knit or something. So I still have just this much to process, which is not bad. Because holy crap, I had filled 3 of these things, and I'm down to not even a full one if I were to put these together. So very happy there. She's so sweet. Yeah. Oh, I gotta clip your claws, but you won't let me. I have to get them one at a time. Okay, so let me pull out a little bit of this and kind of show you the process here that I'm gonna have to go through. Let's grab a few of these fibers. I do not have these currently soaked or anything, so they're not going to be as pliable when I go to actually make the rope out of coconut fiber, I will absolutely soak them first so that it's easier to work with. Alrighty, so we're gonna make our little loop. And then we just sit here and twist it, twist it, twist and twist. Ah, nope, don't let go, don't let go. There we go. And now I just do this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And it's fun. Also, might not be so bad at ventriloquism now that I'm watching this. But you can kind of see the beginning. It's roughly done because I'm not trying to do it professionally yet. But this is, I mean, I got this so I could practice on and I could play around with what the processing is like. But then, yeah, I got a little impatient and started processing it by hand instead of letting it rest for weeks. So anyway, I have a decent amount here, depending on how thick I want to make my cord. Will be, I don't know. That'll decide how long this will be. Yeah, and a big part of this was so that I practiced with something, and especially adding more fiber on when it's short, because that was the thing I was struggling with. And I'm going to have to do that a lot with this. So by the time I finish making this coconut rope, I am going to feel so good about like rolling cordage. And I'll be excited to learn other techniques and methods and that kind of stuff. So anyway, cordage sinks to my soul. We're all weird and different. But yeah, rolling cordage. I don't know. So anyway, my coconut distress. And there was like a coconut scavenger hunt going on. And what ended up happening, unfortunately, is that people would kind of open their coconuts, thinking they're natural, organic, leave all the husks everywhere, leave the bowls. So they were making announcements to have people donate all of the extra coconut stuff into a compost bin, and asking us to help clean it up so that we didn't attract anything that didn't need to be attracted, and we didn't start making mosquitoes, all those things. So I looked around and I saw so many coconut husks around me while I was sitting and listening to this. And I started gathering them because I had taken my cordage class, and I was like, I have an idea. I'm fulfilling that idea. But I'd taken that class and I was like, okay, I have an idea. I'm gonna gather as many of these as possible. And I made this big old pile of coconut husks at the morning fire. And we were wrapping up and we were supposed to head to class. And I looked at this big pile of coconut husks. I looked at everything I needed to carry with me. And I had that moment of almost like panic. And I was like, how am I going to carry all these coconuts? Like actual bit of emotional distress going on, because I was not sure how I was going to do it. Anyway, I figured out doing the put it in the shirt, turning the shirt over method worked very well. I had a little coconut baby all day because I never ran to my tent. And I just sat there kind of breaking it apart and doing some of the initial processing. From there, I got to have some really great experiences with the Cherokee Nation, which I won't dive too far into. But if you ever see them at a festival or anything, I highly suggest sit and listen quietly. There's a lot to learn. Got to make food with them because there's a group from the Cherokee Nation who came down to make food for us and sell some dishes. And I was so excited to finally try Native American food or original people's food. And yeah. From here, I'm not going to really talk too much about those experiences. A lot of things are best left unsaid, actually. Here I am being a perfectionist and doing quality control on my coconut while I talk. But it was wonderful. And I started to definitely see a different way that life can be lived. in all of this experience that it was possible for me to actually live it. I was always told growing up that I would never be capable of that kind of stuff. I think my parents just wanted to limit me and they didn't want me to like that stuff. So their way of manipulating me was to tell me I'm not capable of certain things so that I wouldn't want to do them. And a lot of the outdoorsy stuff was part of that. As a kid, I always liked to be outside. As an adult, I like to be outside. Right now, my door is wide open, so the outside is coming inside. And yeah, that does sometimes include a fly, but luckily I have a whole brigade of cats here who find that to be the best entertainment in the world. So flies are fine. They will be eaten. Don't worry. They never stick around long enough to lay eggs or anything like that. So, yeah, I'll just skip to when I got back because I could talk about the Earth Ghost Gathering forever. Okay, there's a couple more things I'll say. I loved how parents could let their kids run around. Loved it. In our society, it's such a big no-no to just let your kid run free with other kids that we just don't even see kids playing in the streets much anymore, unless you're in a lower income area. And unfortunately, that is reinforcing a lot of that because then it's seen as low class and then people don't want to be like that. And anyway, could be a whole rant as well. But it was so nice to have all the little kids run around. And I knew, even though they're not my kids, I still had some responsibility to keep an eye on them. Now, if something happened, people wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, this is all your fault. That's also one of the great things about raising kids in an actual village. The responsibility is shared. So there were times where kids needed some help or something, and I could just stop and help them. Since I just turned my phone off and left it in my tent the whole time, so I was never checking the time on my phone, anything like that. It was really nice that if a kid did need help, I didn't have to just try and rush to get to the next place. It wasn't rush. It wasn't, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. Oh my gosh, I gotta be here. I got to actually be here in the moment for real. Not a fighting being here in the moment with oh, I want to check my phone or trying to think of other things. It was just this is all that's important right now. That is very, very comforting. And I see why people want to fall into that mindset all the time. And also, even though we were cooking for, at least when I cooked at the Cherokee Nation, I heard the other kitchen was a little stressful, or a lot of stressful. But at least with the Cherokee Nation, cooking wasn't stressful, at all. People were very aware of one another. I didn't feel like there were commands being shouted at me. I didn't feel like people had extremely specific roles that they alone are responsible for. That same idea of we're all responsible for one another was embedded in it. And yeah, wow. So I got to see what life in society could be like, especially if I'm willing to give up some creature comforts, which I do not own a couch or a TV. I am already on my way there. I like floor seating, so I got one of those trifold mattresses because I'm cheap, and it also works as a double bed. And I just use that folded up on my floor. I can fold it. Right now, I have only one side up against the wall, which I got to push it back because my cats like to play with it. But I have one side against the wall, and then two panels out, so I could sit spread out, which I love seeing. There's three-way couches in advertisements on social media. So I'm I just kind of made that happen. I didn't even need to buy that. I just like that. So, and then I can always slide this down if I have a guest over or if I want to take a nap, which I have done because this is so comfy. I can spread out. I can sit crisscross. The big issue with me is because I'm so small that my knees tend to get. There's a couple things that happen. Is if I sit in a chair that's too big for me, they will start to go numb and really painful because and my circulation's cut off. So then I have to get up and do that little dance. And I'm pretty sure throughout my lifetime, the amount of times I have to sit in chairs that are too big for me, I am eventually going to cause something here. I mean, my knees already have a little bit of an ache to them, which I generally attribute to my years of playing soccer. But I also feel like cutting off my circulation every time I sit in a chair anywhere I go is also kind of bad for the body. So yeah, floor seating has been the winner for me. I have all kinds of ways I can keep moving around. I can randomly do like yoga in the middle of it. I can stretch out. I can do a down dog, whatever I want to do. I'm fine. Okay. So I don't see myself as needing a lot of comforts. Actually, I slept great in the tent. I did not need any alarms. I woke up feeling refreshed. I actually went and did morning yoga, which in my apartment sometimes I don't get around to. I mean, as long as I'm used to padding for sure in my bed, so that I just brought padding. And then to sleep with the fresh air all around me, to be able to open up the top of the tent and just see the stars everywhere was amazing. And a lot of folks were like, well, how'd you deal with the cold? I slept great. I got down to like 30 one night, and all I had was a sleeping bag that was like insulated, and it like came around, and it was for cold weather. Like it's specifically for cold environments, and that was perfect. Yeah. I mean, AC is great, especially because I'm in Florida. But I also don't have to stay in Florida. So I guess we can start the segue. Something kind of stereotypical, but we're definitely a big reason moving into it, not just because I want to, but it will give me the networking opportunities so that I can meet mentors and learn more of these skills and go to more of these gatherings. It's so big to say, actually, online. I wanted to do van life or something like that for a long time. At first, it was RV, and I wanted to do an RV with my ex-husband. That fell through. Divorce. Thought about doing an RV again, and just a small driving one for just me. Expenses. At the time, it was getting really expensive because it was still around that COVID craze. So we were low on supplies for a lot of things, and the supply chain had been really, really broken at the time. But also, so many people wanted to try that lifestyle out that there just weren't as many for sale. And then when people were selling their old ones, they were selling them for exorbitant prices. So timing was just not right. I probably could have done it about then. I mean, this apartment is 600 square feet, and I feel like it's too big for me. Like, I really, really do. I spent a lot of time like here. This little couch area is my like comfort zone of my little couch. And I read here. I do most of my creative activities here. When I have friends over, we'll sit together here. So I have my bedroom in the back, and then I have a storage room. So I also don't need a lot of this stuff. I've been slowly picking through everything I own and deciding what like very, very intentionally, what I want to keep and what I want to get rid of. And I'm looking at 3 storage bins worth of stuff that I've been wanting to donate for a while and just haven't gotten around to it. So I think after staying in a tent for a week and even getting down to some pretty chilly temperatures. I mean, 30 is not to really mess with. And it was a wet cold. I woke up, everything in my tent was pretty soaked. Like condensation was running down the inside of the tent. I mean, it bothered me to an extent, but not so much. It wasn't like, I woke up and I love being kind of slightly damp and freezing. But I actually wasn't freezing. That's one thing that is a straightforward, but I don't know, it wasn't so bad because I knew what the day was going to bring for sure. I definitely didn't wake up grumpy. I was a little chilly, and I had actually some of these pajamas on, and then I had my sleeping bag around me, and I just kind of opened the front of my tent, and I sat there for a little while watching the sun come up. So I got to see the sunrise. That's something I try to wake myself up for all the time. I just naturally woke up for it. Just put me in nature. Just put me outdoors. I belong outside. I am an outside human, not an indoors human. So I knew I just wanted to keep that up. And if at the end of the week, I was not getting annoyed at all by being in a tent. I was actually falling into a healthier lifestyle. I was eating better. My stomach wasn't all cramped up and nervous like I usually am. I was sleeping great. I felt great overall. I had so much energy. I learned so many new things. And I felt really like alive and human again. And this world with our screen, like our society that we've built with our screens and paving everything over and not having that responsibility towards one another. Because that's so hard when we've gotten into this independent mindset where it's like, well, I'm not responsible for that. I'm not responsible for that. You are responsible for that. And we're not sharing the responsibility itself. It's hard to make something like all that work. So anyway, I realized I want to chase that. And I've almost held my career for 10 years now. It's going to be one of those other millennials. Millennial burnout and stuff going on right now. But I think I'm going to add to it. I think it's about time. Okay. So you could see that this is not just oh my gosh, let me do this on a whim. Not quite. Like I said, I've already thought about the differences. And since I was able to stay in a tent, I did not miss my bed, like at all. I did not miss having heat or AC because it did get kind of hot during the day and definitely dropped down pretty cold at night. Although it was only like in the 70s still. But that's still hot for me. But anyway, a van would be an upgrade to a tent, not a downgrade from an RV. So if I'm looking at it and putting it into that perspective, I think I can actually do this. So probably for 6 years now, this nomadic life has drawn me in, and I just wasn't sure about it. It is a huge leap of faith. And I have some wonderful, wonderful friends, but I don't necessarily have family per se. I don't have someone that if all this fails, I could go back to. That's the hardest part in taking the leap. But I know I can form some community along the way. I know these past couple of years, I have been really investing in my relationships and showing up. So hopefully in the future, if this doesn't work out, and I also, hopefully I will have someone to guide me through the failure process. But 2, I realize I'm not going into it thinking I have to do this forever. that forever or nothing mindset is something I've grown up with, like around me when I'm trying to choose like what I want to do and such. Where it's like, oh, well, can you do that forever? And now I'm finally grown and I'm like, I don't have to do anything forever. Not even live. None of us lives forever. So I don't know why I was surrounded by that mindset. I still see it in some people. It was very confusing for me as a kid, and it kind of trapped me into some toxic thinking habits myself as I aged. And I'm trying to get over that still. I don't have to commit forever to a thing. So, I have a timeline. I said I want to do this for a year. Give myself a year, and that gives me time to acclimate to life, meet people. Because I remember during Earth Skills at first, it was very lonely, and I already feel a little bit of the tinge of loneliness in like setting all this up because I don't really have anyone like right there by my side who's like, oh yeah, cheering me on. I'm my cheerleader. Like every day in and day out. A lot of my friends are like, yes, you should go for this. But when it comes to the day in, day out, details, planning, energy work to get my energy up so that I can get some of these things done, not having a partner is harder in those moments. Would be great to have a roommate. Would have liked to have a roommate. But I will hopefully meet some folks that I can group up with and caravan with. But until then, the first thing that I will need to do is get a job. So that I'm mostly making this to hopefully motivate me to sit down and actually start applying today. I've made some lists. I broke up my planning phases into a couple categories, like supplies I need to get, and make a list and a budget of that. A budget. I'm not going to know exactly what my expenses are, but I can definitely guess some things. And luckily, stuff like rent, I won't have to budget it. So that'll open up kind of my expectations for how much I'm going to make. Because that's the first thing that's hitting me is I am going to go down in salary instead of going up. And now I'm in my 30s. And at this point in the stages of life and everything, people are expected to be moving up. But my path is definitely not going to be linear. I'm going to be moving up in a different way that is not necessarily monetarily. That being said, though, do need to have income. I'm going to try and get my bills down to essentially just my cell phone, food for like me and my cats, and health insurance. And insurance. I'm going to see if I can get a pre-built van and pay outright. Hopefully sell off my car and be able to use some of that money, be able to pay off the car finally, and then use some of my savings plus whatever I have left over from that sale to get the van so that I don't need to worry about that monthly payment as well, because I've totally forgotten my car, which I need to pay that today. So I barely even use my car anyway. I don't have a strong emotional attachment to it. I think I could sell it. This is where having like another person would be great. But I'll start asking around to see if anyone has experience in listing. So yeah, budget. That's going to be a sit down to kind of think of, see if there's any missing things. I'm just going to upgrade my phone plan. I'm already on AT&T, which kind of sucks because I wish I could switch and get a sign-on bonus before I do this. But AT&T, I had chosen it originally because they are the best in terms of coverage if you're in rural areas. I even got coverage in El Yunque when we were out there. So some of the campsites I've already looked at for jobs, they say like AT&T is the only service. So I'm going to be stuck with AT&T and whatever that bill is. So I am going to upgrade, though, to unlimited data. That way, that's since I'm not going to be working online, I don't do a lot of intensive stuff online. Maybe just this. And if I get 100 followers, I can just do this from my phone. So, anyway, my student loans, I might have to defer those if I don't have, I should, this is my 10 years of teaching, should be forgiven. So I have to sit down and go through all that. But yeah, otherwise I'm trying to look at like regular bills, gas, if I'm using a gas stove, like cat supplies, my food, maintenance on van, taxes, insurance, water refills if it's not free. But some expenses are going to go away though, which will be good. All right. So next up we have, well, jobs. Let's talk jobs for a little bit. Talking this out is definitely helping. So for jobs, I really did some brainstorming and some researching. Some things are things I already know of and have researched in the past, and all I had to do was double check if they're still valid 6 years later or 3 years later, every time I've tried to sit down and do this. So yeah, this is actually my third attempt at moving into nomadic life mentally. So I do make art. I can look at selling when I'm at festivals, that kind of stuff. That is not a main source of income here. That would just be kind of a side source. As I learn more skills, I can host kind of experiences per se. That's what my kind of word is for it right now. But like I do foraging, and at some point I definitely want to get like my meditation certification, which you can get one. And that would allow me to get some insurance and other like access to some things so that I could actually do that as like a job. So I might, yeah, I'll probably move into that. There's a lot of stuff to do right now. So I have some things where I keep them on the list, but I know it might be like a year or more before I get to them. They're not off the list. I know that's a goal, but I just have my plate full. So yeah, meditation could be one. I would love to actually kind of combine it and do like a meditative walk while foraging, and that be an experience that I offer. But also though, if I'm nomadic, it's going to be hard to teach foraging. Hopefully, if you're watching, you understand why. If not, I'll break it down. Different places have different plants. There are some common ones throughout like North America, but it's a handful. There's a lot of localized, specialized plants that meet certain needs that I can learn them in one area, but if I go to another one, what I knew in that area no longer applies. None of the plants I knew here grow here, which means so it'll still be fun to learn a lot of foraging along my way, but what I learned like out in Montana might not be applicable to Florida, or like what I learned here in Florida might not be applicable like out west in the desert, you know? So, I don't know. I can at least go with the meditation, get that certification, and be able to offer some of those classes, even if it is online. I don't think that would be too bad. I just can't do more paperwork. No more forms online, please. I mean, I'm going to have to do a couple, but not day in and day out. I'm so tired of looking at Excel spreadsheets and Word documents and PDFs. Man, now I'm hearing like Mostly like my parents and teachers and stuff growing up. They're like, no, you got to focus, stay on the right path. And I'm over here like, I'm going to do my own thing. All of those insults are hitting me right now. Yeah. Anyway, moving forward, there's seasonal farm work. So chasing some of that, I think that's a little intensive. Being able to hook up with the people who know where it's at and where the good money's at is going to be what I need to do here. But there are some harvests that if you do it for, the months or so, however long it is, and then you're out of work at that point, but you can still survive on what you earn for a few months at least. So looking out for lucrative farm work is definitely possible. Working in national parks and stuff, although a lot of those positions are, the ones that are paid are really hard to get. And the ones that aren't, usually all you get is accommodations. So I would have to do it like I'm saying, like go do the farm work for a little while as a seasonal job, get my money, then go do volunteer work for a little bit. And then I need money now. So then I go get another job again. For a lot of people, that sounds exhausting. For me, that sounds thrilling. You know what sounds exhausting? Logging into my laptop tomorrow. So, we can be different people, and it's okay. And there's tree planting, which is also pretty vigorous, but you can earn some okay money. Then you have a bunch of websites where you can pick up odd jobs. Like if I'm in an area and I see someone needs something, there's a couple websites where people post for certain skills and such. So I can take a look at those websites at least and make my profiles and kind of get a sense of what they're like. Cool work. I've known about that since high school or maybe college. I don't remember when cool work. I'm gonna put my, one sec. Let me go get my phone. Where did I put my phone? Huh. Okay. Did I leave my phone? Yes, I left my phone. See, I don't even need my phone. But I will Google this. Okay, yeah, it was 1995, so I did find it in high school. I thought so. Because I had wanted to do something like that before going to college. I'd wanted to, this has been something in me. I mean, since I was a kid, I could really trace it back. We bounced around a lot growing up, and that never felt terrible. It was mostly the social situations. But the moving itself was kind of exciting. So high school, when I graduated, I had wanted to take some time off, take a gap year, and just work some really interesting jobs, like zip lining and whitewater rafting, especially while I was young and energetic and all that stuff. And I was talked out of it by so many people. There's also the place that I used to go to each summer in the mountains, and they always needed summer staff. I want to do that so bad. That was another one I wasn't allowed to do. So, I think my gray boy, I think, is here. I can tell by the shadow on the door if he's sitting out there. Hey, gray boy, is that you? Yep, it is. Haha. I saw Mama Cat look, and then I saw the shadow on the door. All right. What you doing? I know, you're excited, Mama. Mama knows that when Gray Boy comes in, they get food. So it's the best hack. Not really. This is a great hack to get your cats to like a cat. that is not already part of their colony. Because now they know every time Gray Boy comes in, they get food. So that's why Mama perked up. And from her body language, I could tell that Gray Boy must have been coming in. Anyway, continuing there. And luckily I can get past the sad stuff. But this has definitely been something I've thought of. So the one thing with cool work right now is I was on it and I ended up bumming myself out. Because so many of the jobs start before the school year ends. And like April, May, where I need to start in June. And I'm not finding many places that start in June. So we're camping. Yes. I think that's going to be where I have to start. Which would be great though, because I'm still going to be in an environment where I'm meeting like other more nomadic folks, especially if I'm at like an RV park. The problem, and what I'm sure I could find it, but some places only exchange a free stay for you to work. I need monies. I only have so much in savings, and I think I'm going to drain a lot getting set up. I have some folks who already have some things, and I'll be able to use or like borrow or even possibly borrow for good those things. But there are still going to be expenses. I don't know how much. I can't calculate that quite yet because I haven't done my budget and my setup costs. But I am going to need the monies if I want to pay my insurance, if I want to pay my phone, if I want to feed my cats, if I want to feed myself. So I'm still kind of trying to look around and see what places offer. Because at least the first one, the very first place I go to, I'm going to need it to be paid. From there, I can start to try and chase harvests and mix up my schedule a bit. And that would be my plan moving forward. I wouldn't just want to stay in one place. It's not the purpose of living in a band. I don't want to stay in one place forever. So, but do need the monies. Anyway, yeah, once I calculate exactly how much I need, then I will have a better idea. So ski resorts as well. Ski resorts are a decent way. They pay pretty well, but that wouldn't be till winter. And the thing I worry about there is because obviously there's going to be snow. The weather not being temperate enough for my cats to be safe. And I have to think about my kitties. So one of the best things about van life is that I can actually go nomadic and bring my cats with me. I've already been looking into some cool like outdoor runs. I've already been researching into how to get vet care on the road because it exists. Yes, it's harder. It is more difficult. It is not as convenient, but it is possible. And I have someone who isn't, I'm not even patient enough to let this rest. I don't mind inconveniencing myself. So, yeah, I that's the one thing that makes me a little nervous about the ski resort option. I know they usually allow you to stay in like a cabin, but most of the places I looked up are no pets. So it just won't be safe to have them in the van. And that's not even fair because they have to be shut up in that van all the time. And it's just not enough space for 3. What I do plan to do is once I park it, I have an outdoor like run thing that I want to set up. I want to create like a little privacy thing for myself and have my composting toilet in there. So like one of those just, single little privacy things. Or I can, honestly, I already have a tent and it has a privacy blackout thing. Just put it in there. From there, yeah, I'll see if anyone has one, because one of the things I was thinking about is just like if it's raining or inclement weather. Anyway, from there, what I want to hook up to all of that setup is to give my cats kind of like a little run area. You can see them on. Great kitty, you want outside? Hey, buddy. Let him out. So there are like these like outdoor run things that can get pretty big, and I think that would be a really good best case scenario for during the day. That way they can go out and have fresh air, which means I got to keep up on flea medicine, which means that I need to be really cognizant if there are any predators in the area, because if there are, then they could just, the stuff I'm looking up so that it's like collapsible is just pretty much netting. So yeah, luckily all three of mine get along just fine. They'd be fine with that. I also will leash train them a bit. I don't know how well Mama will do on the leash, but she also can't go very far very fast because she's fat. So she might not need a leash. She also doesn't go very far from me, even when she does get outside. Hi, Mama. Yeah, you want to come show off? You want to come show off your chunkiness? Yeah, there you go. She's a chonker. Poor Mama. She had multiple litters of kittens in the streets and had food scarcity. So now she has all this anxiety around food and she likes to overeat. We have been working on it. I also think this breed type tends to pack on weight a little bit more, because anytime I see one with the little tails like this, they tend to get to this body type. Yes, partially because of humans overfeeding them, but she eats as much as my other cats, and she's the one who's getting fat. Fatter and fatter. Yeah. You maybe have a thyroid problem. That's too expensive for me. So anyway, I do need to keep them in mind, though. Making sure the place I'm in is as safe, reasonably safe, is what I want to say. There is always a chance. And for a lot of people, that stops them from doing the things they want to do and things that would bring them joy and things that might even actually end up making the world a better place. So I can't let myself wrap myself in fear. Instead, it's about doing my research and being prepared. But I know if I post about all this, my kitty's on the road. I see it with all other adventure cats too. All kinds of comments telling them how bad of an owner they are. And yes, I'm kind of sensitive. I don't like the bad comments. Especially the really mean ones. It's just like, why? Why are you being snarky? There isn't even a reason. Like, why are you attempting to make someone feel bad about themselves? And why do you feel so good about doing that? I have a hard time with folks like that, for sure. I want to call it out just like that. Okay. So what else we got? So yeah, that also kind of puts out some of the national parks. I probably can't leave them outside of the pen. Like I said, I will leash train them and hopefully be able to actually take them out for some walks and exploration, which I think Rocket will adore once he gets comfortable with everything. Great boy. Still kind of up in the air. I definitely want to bring him with me. He's so attached to me. He follows me everywhere. The other day when I got picked up from like where I was at to go out to dinner, he was still sitting there waiting for me. So I had to every time I get picked up when Gray Boy has followed me, he just sits there and waits for me. And I always have to be dropped back off the same place I was picked up because he'll just be sitting there waiting for me. It's so cute. Okay. Other ones I can look at is I'll look into the data entry field. Like I said, I do not want to be looking at boxes and all that kind of stuff, but in a pinch, it is something I've done for a long time because being a teacher is often data entry. So it's something that I know I'm capable of. It's something I know that I could do remotely, which is important. It's not the top of my list, but if I'm in a pinch for money, or say maybe I get sick and I'm going to be laid up for a while, so I'm just not able to work other jobs, it is a backup plan. Streaming, I do not care about building a fan base, curating all that stuff, editing. None of that sounds fun. And definitely the comments, the manipulation, the bots, the just outright cruelness. It's not somewhere, and I would want to interact with people who are following me. So I would actually like to keep my following small, which doesn't mean say I'm not going to make money. So that's more of a pie in the sky. I'm really desperate. It's Amazon Camper Force. It's literally just for those who live out of their like RVs. I would have to work for Amazon. Retreat centers. I have my own issues with a lot of the new age spiritual practices and how much cultural appropriation goes on. So while I have this on my list, I think I'm going to be too picky about which retreat center I would work at, and I probably would not find a job. But option that I can look into. I mean, I guess if they're like really, really good, and it's hard to say what a really, really good retreat center would actually be like. Because, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if I had already said that, but working at festivals, that is something I'm actually kind of really excited for this lifestyle for, is that a lot of festivals out there, if you work during at least like a couple days of them, you get to go for free. So I also really like, personally, I actually really like being part of the process. I really don't like being a customer as much as I like being a part of the whole thing. So anytime I'm doing something, I tend to volunteer a lot, which is how I ended up volunteering a lot at the Earth Skills Gathering. I had seen that they had the work camping program, and the way some of the wording was, it sounded like it was kind of first for those who can't afford to do it, and I had the money. It was my first year. I wanted to go and see what it was like. But the moment they asked for volunteers, my hand was up. So I end up volunteering all the time. And I love it just because I actually enjoy doing it. And I feel great about it every time I do. And I feel more connected to the entire experience that I'm having if I was actually part of the process. So, yeah, that could be really fun to look at different festivals and apply for work camping. And yeah, might not make money from that part. So again, I have some things on this list that are kind of like I would bring in more money for a period of time, and then I'd be able to take some time for this and then maybe go back to the moneymaker. And that insecurity for a lot of people would make them like, ooh. But I can plan ahead. I know a festival might only be like 2 weeks, and then I have to go on to the next thing. So anyway, what else? Oh, tutoring. I can do online tutoring. Do I want to be online for my job? No. No, I don't. That's exactly why I don't. I would like to go away from the computer for a while. Disappear into the woods, climb some trees, make some shit, build a fort that I can actually live in, find my food, be in community with people who also want to do the same things. But yeah, tutoring, have my certification. I could make some decent money with that. So I can look at those options because there's a couple different options. I mean, there's tutoring online for like English abroad. I've heard some horror stories from those situations, but if I'm not like trying to do it forever or anything, okay, it's temporary. And then temp agencies. When I get to a place, down on my luck, I can always, I've gone through temporary agencies before. I think they're actually I mean, I don't know the stats, so I don't know if they're actually underutilized, but when my friends have been looking for jobs, they almost never think about temp agencies. So yeah, that would be a great way to get some quick work for just a little bit in one area, if there's a particular area I want to stay in. So I have a lot of ways here to make money, and I don't have to plan every single one of these right now. What I do need to do, though, is find my first location. As soon as I secure that job, I am securing the van, which I might have to do it in a kind of a weird process since I don't have all the cash on hand. I might have to take out the loan. Then once I sell my car, pay off the loan. Yeah, I don't. So until I get the van, I don't want to sell my car. There's some moving parts and timing. Anyway, yeah. Let's see. Anything else I didn't cover? Oh yeah, just some of the cool things I'll get to do. I'd love to go to some more nap-ins, some more like Earth Skills Gathering style things. That kind of funnel under festivals in my mind, but they are different. We are actually trading skills instead of putting on like a production. Yeah, that is the one thing. I'm independent enough where I really don't like when people do everything for me. I really like being a part of something. I like that connection. When people are all like doting on me, and like when I've been at like 5-star resorts or stuff like that, it's so uncomfortable for me. Like, I had to stay in like some really great places throughout Europe and get the 5-star treatment, all the luxury treatment, best foods that we could afford, all of that stuff. But yeah, it was not me. So I know I'm not going to chase money, which means I'm not going to have money. I just need just enough to live. So, locations, going to be mostly chasing work, but I have a couple other things that I am doing. Oh, hi there. Someone showed up. Oh. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I guess you've lived that life. What's it kind of been like for you? Oh, well, nice to meet you. Glad that you joined. I'm just kind of talking to the void. It helps me put my thoughts together, and especially when I'm trying to like I don't know, change habits or something like that. Since I live alone, this works as a really good body double. But yeah. I'm talking currently kind of like my next plans and dreams. Do you have any, like, in particular yourself? Well, anyway, I'll finish off with my little list thing I was doing. But I would love to hear if you have some, like, plans, dreams, or anything else like that. Oh, yeah, Canada. Well, that's kind of what I was kind of feeling, because I know I'm in a little trouble at work, and my contract's probably not being renewed. So I was trying to think of what happens next. And I went to a job interview for a law office, and as I was going through the interview, I was kind of like, I don't want to do this. So I also realized that, yeah, it could be, I'm here in the USA, so it could definitely end up in homelessness too, because we have even less supports and we're taking away a lot of them. But I know it's also not too easy up there either. A lot of Americans kind of romanticize Canada and the universal health care and some programs, but I've also heard that they can be a lot to work through, and it's not as easily accessible as what some people try to say. I'm working on my plan B, which is probably finally van life. I'm in my 30s, and I've wanted to do this since like high school, essentially. And I'm young. I'm still able-bodied. That could change at any time. So I don't want to really wait. So anyway, the last couple of sections that I'm talking about, I was just talking about like all the planning and all the things I have to do in order to move into van life. So I also have to look at what I am going to take and what I'm going to leave. Fortunately, okay, this is a weird one. This is a really, really weird thing. About 2 weeks ago, one of my friends approached me, and she said she had had a dream about me, and I had come to her and asked if I could store some stuff with her. And she ended up having me store my stuff in the attic. And when I stored it up there, it was like all set up, so her attic space became like a cute little hangout spot. And I was like, well, guess what? I might be losing my job, and I might need that. And so that all kind of works together really well. Like, crazy the timing that she just so happens to have a place I can store my stuff for free. But a lot of stuff I just don't even need. I want to keep stuff that has meaning to me. I also have a big book collection. So parting those out, I think, is going to be the hardest thing, giving that up. But I want people to read books, so I don't mind. Like, as long as they're not being thrown out. As long as they're not thrown out. That's all I care about. So, otherwise, like some of the art my friends have made me, I'll want to put up around my van or display or bring with me. Some memorabilia. But a lot of stuff I can get rid of. I just don't have the need to really own it. Especially if I buy a pre-built van, then what my job is going to be is to kind of update it and upgrade it to sort of what like I can like do with it, or what I like helps me with my day-to-day life. Because the van is going to be, I do want to buy a pre-built because I don't have all those carpentry skills and stuff. Not yet. I would love to learn. I just don't have all the monies to like pay for 1 million carpentry classes to learn just this one little part of it, to just do this one little thing. Like, no, I need mentors. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Have you ever thought about doing something like this? I mean, even if not van life, like streaming or anything like that. Anyway, yeah. Getting rid of a bunch of stuff. It'll be so nice to cleanse myself of all the things I don't need. I've been slowly doing it. I'm just kind of getting back to just the necessary items and just the things that really speak to me and I care about. So, that's just mostly going to be physical labor and decision making. There's like a lot of decision making involved here. I'm trying to find somewhere to get my books too. If there's like another collector who wants to just take on my collection, I'd be totally fine with that. Unfortunately, a lot of my books I've collected because they are slightly damaged. They're all readable, nothing insane, but libraries need like books that are not damaged. So donating to a library would likely mean that they just get put in a bin. Or maybe I could find like a used bookstore to donate them to. So I know there's one by me that raises money for the animal shelter. There's all kinds of options for my books. And the last part is the bureaucratic tasks. That's going to be the ones I really, 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 really don't want to do. I'm so tired of doing these day in and day out at work. But setting up my insurance, making sure I can get my mail somehow, which I already used someone else's address because even though I haven't done van life before, I have moved around so much that it's so annoying to update my address every time that I use someone else's. Like, it's someone I like know, not some random person's, but my best friend's parents' house that they've had in the family for a while. I know it's stable. I know they'll pick up my mail. I know they won't open it or go through it, either by accident, which has happened a couple times, but there's nothing that's super private between me and them. So I'll probably just keep that up and they can text me, like take pictures of stuff as I get it. And I can have them send it to an address if it's really, really important. So yeah, I've been talking for like over an hour now. And the more and more I talk about it, the more nervous and excited I am. I don't know. There's still a lot. There's still a lot here. First things first, which I want to work on today, is applying for the jobs and continuing to look up work camping at actual like RV parks. I think targeting that for my very first job gives me some focus, gives me something to direct my energy into. RV parks are more likely to be safe for my kitties than like a national park that has bears. No. So that's what I got to do next. Next step, Google Parks and work through them. Things are going to change so fast, but that's okay. I'm okay with change. I know it hits my nervous system for a little while. I'll have like a month where my body is just screaming for consistency. So that's also why I want to make sure I have my job secured and it's more of a long-term job. As I get used to being more and more on the road, I think my nervous system will calm down a bit as I learn to kind of trust the process, trust the community that I meet and build along the way. I was so cool at Earth Skills, like just the way that community worked and clicked, and Well, yeah, there were like roles. It just wasn't the way it's not like there were jobs. This is your job. Here are all your responsibilities. This is what you must do. Everything was pretty fluid, but it all worked out. Like, a lot of the arguments I've always heard about how it could never work is that it would be too chaotic. But leadership wasn't one person, but there was leadership involved, which was so cool to see. It's like we have this hierarchy that's more patriarchal. This was definitely more of a flexible hierarchy that's more matriarchal, where the people who actually knew how to do the most were the ones in charge for that time. That was cool. Like, even in the kitchen, there wasn't just like one person organizing everything and telling everyone what to do, and this is your role, and you do this, and you do this, and you do this. It was like, oh, he knows how to make this dish. Let's watch him. And we would all just kind of watch him and then all be cognizant of what one another is doing and all just kind of naturally fold into our places. And yeah, I always bought into the idea that there would be chaos if there's not a leader, like a strict leader. But now I can see that's not true. And it really is more of a mindset. Like a mindset, though, it's a group mindset and what's possible. Unfortunately, if one person changes their mind, they can just be taken advantage of by people who don't think that way. But with the whole group is thinking that way, it's so cool. It is really so cool. Well, I was about to wrap it up here, but I'm so glad you came by. You're my first person to stop in when I'm actually live. So love to have you by again. I've already been streaming for an hour. So I hope you have a good day and you get to see some really kick-ass and cool shit on the internet.